HCM TradeSeal. This video is for new users of HCM TradeSeal Starter Edition. We'll show you how to create your very first certified payroll report in just a few minutes. We'll walk you through adding your first certified payroll job, confirming you have the correct prevailing wages, adding workers to the job, and creating the report. So to begin, let's assume that your company has won a certified payroll job, and you probably will give the job a number. So we'll call this job 12026, job 001. P, your numbering may not be like this, but this is a common pattern that we see with a lot of our customers here at TradeSeal. We'll give the job a name, Tampa Power Plant Job. We'll give it a address, 1234 Tampa Plant Drive in Florida. This would be your government project number. You may get this from a GC or you may get it from a county, but we'll just make one up for today. P123456 7. Occasionally you need to specify different contract numbers, federal or state, and we're going to skip that for now. We're going to write reporting CP. This tells TradeSeal that you want a certified payroll report for this job number. And we'll just add a note. This is our first CP job in Tampa. Excellent. So with this job added, I'm going to hit save. If you like, you can track more information on jobs. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and write the county for this job. Hillsborough County. Good to know. That will potentially impact my prevailing wage rates, and it's just good to track that. So we've entered our job. The next thing to do is add workers for the job. So I'm going to go ahead and add a worker, and I'm going to assume that I'm only concerned with this worker's prevailing wage rate and status for my Tampa job. So I'm going to hit add employee. I'm going to add their date. Really, I should add their hire date as an employee. So we'll assume that I hired them last year in December. And I'm going to give them an ID number. So this would be their real employee ID number in your payroll system. Today, I'll just make one up. Hire date, again, I'm assuming it's the 11th, so I'll re-enter that. As you change the employee, this date may change. It works more like an effective date, but for now they're new, so that's the same as the hire date. And I'm going to call them Patricia Jones. I would enter the real last four of their SSN. This can occasionally be used on certified reports. Just making that up. Base rate of pay, if you already know the prevailing wage rate, really the total prevailing wage rate for this job, then you would enter that here. I'm not sure what it is. So off the top of my head, I will enter 35, 34. I may come back to this after I double check the prevailing wage rate. And I'm going to skip benefits for now. This is a non-union employee and department doesn't really matter. For position, I'm going to put electrician. I'll hit add. So I've got Patricia. Patricia's an electrician, and she is going to work on our Tampa job. So I'll hit save. And to review, I've got my job, I've got my employee on the job, and I think I have the correct rate of pay. So something that I'm going to double check before I go too much further. I'm going to go take a look at that prevailing wage rate, and you may already have this written down. If you're not sure and you haven't checked the prevailing wage rate since you started work, it is a good idea to confirm that the determination hasn't changed. So I will pop up there. I will go to electrician. This is Wage Finder. You can go to wagefinder.org to look this up. It gets you the correct sam.gov rate if you're looking for federal rates. It's just easier to use. So I have electrician, Hillsborough Florida. Okay, this is what I wanted. And I'm going to go with highway. So if I assume Patricia is an electrician working highway, this says that I have to pay a minimum of 27.55 total. It's possible to break this out into rate and fringe and benefit plans, but we're not going to cover that today. We're just going to look at this. And I should also probably click on this wage determination if I want the best record keeping. I'm going to skip that in this tutorial and just go with 27.55. So before I go too much further with my report, I'm going to make sure that I have the correct rate of pay for Patricia. I can, if it's always going to be one job, I can just edit it here. If I want, I can override that later, depending on the hours they work. But I'm going to go back. It says 27.55. I'm just going to go with that for today and hit save. So I've got my updated data. Patricia earns 27.55. I've got my job, and now I'm ready to go. So the only thing missing are hours. So if I was going to work on this job right here and first week of February, get my report done, I need to put in the hours. So if I'm thinking certified payroll, it's okay to only put in the hours for the certified payroll. And so I'm just going to give Patricia a full week for demonstration purposes. We'll give her some overtime on Monday too. And then maybe we'll assume that she doesn't work on this job on Friday. She may work on a different job. She may have PTO. But if I'm just thinking certified payroll to get started, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm only going to think about the job. So I'm expecting to see 32 hours and actually 2 overtime hours. And in order to make sure this is certified payroll, I'm going to put in that job number. I already have the rate of pay, 27.55, so I'm not going to worry about that. And I'm going to write electrician just to be sure. Now, I probably shouldn't have to write that because her position is electrician, but it's a good idea to get in the habit of entering this at the hours level because as you do more certified jobs, they may change from an electrician to a laborer, for example, or you may encounter other positions or classes they need to work. And I'll write a note. This can be any note that you want. And for now, that's it. I don't have anything else I really need to track. So I'm going to hit save. And before I make my report, I can just review the data. So if this looks right to me, I can hover over hours. It looks like I have 32 reg, 2 OT. Gross pay looks pretty good. I'm just paying the 27.55. That's the total prevailing wage. I'm paying it all as an earning, so I don't have to worry about it too much. And the purpose of this is to make sure I've got the right rate of pay. So this all looks good to me. I've got the right job. I've got the electrician. If I wanted to take a deeper look, I could come back to overview. I could add other hours on other jobs, but for now, I'm happy with this. I've got what I need to make a report. So the last step is to create a report. And one of the nice things about TradeSeal is after setting this up, I can do any reporting format that I need. It could be federal, it could be an electronic like LCP tracker. And as you get better at TradeSeal and add more jobs, you can get state-specific formats. Today, I'm just going to stick with federal. So I'm going to pick that week. It was the first week in February, I believe. And payroll journal, I'm not ready to do this yet in starter edition. If I want, I could upgrade my TradeSeal and then I can upload the payroll pay stubs. But really for one employee on one job, it's easier to just type in the pay stubs. I may enter the payroll number. This is my first payroll on this job. And the version I'm going to enter is the latest one. This is the new certified payroll report on most federal projects these days. That's going to generate, and I should end up with a mostly complete report. It looks like it didn't like some of my data. Let's take a look. No pay stubs. That's okay. I meant to do that. Really, that seems to be the only problem. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this report. I'm going to hit download, and I just downloaded the report. So now I'm going to go take a look at it. I open it in another tab, and there it is. Not bad. So this is a WH347 report. It's the latest version. And there's a few things I do want to change. I might create this report again. I can create it as many times as I want. There's no additional cost. I can make as many reports as I need to get this done. But let's take a look at what it says. It knows the job, and that's good. It thinks I'm the prime contractor. In this case, that's wrong. So I can change my trade seal settings to subcontractor. Seems to have pretty much all my info. I didn't set up a wage determination number yet. I could put that in the jobs table. I didn't enter the prime address, but I'm going to skip that for now. Most of the hard work is done, though. It enters in the employee. It enters in their last four of SSN. It enters in the hours, including overtime, and this is a tedious breakout. I don't have to fill in this information, which would not be fun to fill in by hand. It's got my hours right, and it's got the wages right as well. So it says I paid $27.55 for straight time. It says if I have overtime, it looks like I do. Then it says I'm paying $41.33. So let's go check that. Is this what I'm expecting? Yes, it is $27.55. And that's what I set up in the employee too. So this is all connecting the dots for me. So I'll go back to the report. Now you're going to see zeros in some of these columns. 6B, total fringe benefit credit. I'm not paying fringe credits yet. This is my first job. I haven't set up a full-blown employee benefit plan for this, so I'm going to skip that. I'm doing payment in lieu of fringe benefits, but I've put it in the rate. So I suppose if I wanted to, I could go back to the wage determination. I could pay them $24.02 rate, and then I could break out the fringes. But in terms of compliance, I'm basically following the law here. I'm paying the whole thing as a rate. So no, there's no payment in lieu of fringe benefits. The gross amount earned is $964.25. This one, so these are all zeros right now because they're going to come from my payroll system. And I have to fill in this part after I have finished this payroll. So if I was going to update this and save it to my computer, I would enter their total gross in payroll. She may have worked on other jobs. So for example, her total gross could be $1,108. And the tax withholdings, I'm just going to enter these from the pay stub, $109.03. FICA, we'll put 54. Other, we'll say that there are some other deductions in play, 72. Total deductions, you would total these up. That'll typically be in your pay stub. For today, I'm just going to make it up. And net pay, this will also come from your pay stub. So I take out taxes. I'm going to give her $897. So this is pretty straightforward. I'm imagining that you would enter this by looking at the pay stub. So we finished most of the information we need. Now the second page, I've restated the project information. I'm missing a little bit of information about my company. I have the name. If I want, I could have TradeSeal auto-fill the name and title. I'll show that in just a moment. I'm not going to fill in any credits. I'm just paying the total prevailing wage, so I don't really need to fill out information about fringe credits yet. If I have additional remarks, I could enter them here, and I do need to sign it. So with some jobs, you're going to literally print this out, sign it, scan it. You're going to want to save a record, of course. Others, you can sign it electronically. Others, you upload it to a portal. But either way, it would be part of the submission process. So I've got this almost completely filled out already. If I want to, I can come back and enter in my company address and officer name, title for the report so that I don't have to fill that out in the future. Part of the power of TradeSeal is the information I won't have to enter. So that'll be autofilled. And another nice thing I won't have to enter next time, the employee. So if Patricia keeps working on this job, I don't have to enter this again. I can go to the next week and just say full week on job, no problem. Get the right job number, hit save. So next week it's even easier. Guess I'm going to the future. This is even easier. 40 hours, 27. If I want to make a report, I come over here, pick my report. This time, let's talk about an upload. What if I had a electronic upload? I could pick LCP tracker, second week in February, enter in a check date, needs that. I don't have a payroll journal. I'm going to hit generate. It's completed. Gave me some quality warnings. Probably the same thing. Yeah, I don't have a payroll journal. That's okay. I'm not expecting to have that. So I'm going to go ahead and download this. I've downloaded it, and now I'm going to open it up in Microsoft Excel before I upload it. So those of you familiar with electronic certified payroll uploads, some jobs will support you uploading a file instead of entering in. So I have some choices here. If I'm doing LCP Tracker or another portal, I could just look at this information and enter the data, or I may, if supported, I may be able to upload this file to my portal. So let's take a look. This is the same information we just viewed in the WH347 form, but now it's in LCP Tracker upload format. So I'm going to see similar data, just a different format. As you can see, some information is still empty because I didn't upload their pay stub yet, but this will still save me a lot of time. I may fill some of these in and then just upload it. So that's another way to do reports. And to review what I just did in this tutorial, let's take it back and look at all the information. I entered my first certified payroll job at the power plant. I confirmed the prevailing wages in Wage Finder. Once confirmed, I used that rate for the employee. It didn't really change between the 2 weeks that I entered, so I was able to just keep it right here. I noted that the employee was an electrician. I was able to enter the hours. The first week, the employee worked 4 days, and the second week, the employee worked all 5 days. I was able to inspect these hours in an overview. Once happy with the hours, I was able to preview them in the rate validation screen. And finally, I was able to create 2 reports. In fact, one was the newer certified payroll, the federal form, and also just for demonstration purposes, for the second week of the job, I did a totally different format. Same information, but I was able to do an LCP tracker upload instead. So that was a complete tutorial of starting with my first certified payroll job, entering in hours, getting a report, and today for check stub data, I just entered it into the report, which is fairly easy if it's only a few employees. In other tutorials, we can walk through advanced settings, importing pay stubs, but this is a great way to get started and save a lot of time and ensure you have fully accurate certified payroll reports. Thank you. We'll see you in the next video.